Hey everyone, and welcome back to our channel. Today we're taking a trip through time with these fascinating photos. Get ready to step into the past and see the world through a different lens with us. Let's dive in. This photograph captures the devastating impact of the Spanish flu pandemic that swept across the world in 1918 to 1919. With over 500 million people infected and an estimated death toll of 50 million, the Spanish flu was one of the deadliest pandemics in human history. The photograph shows a makeshift hospital ward filled with patients during the Spanish flu pandemic. The Oklahoma City bombing, 1995. This photograph depicts the aftermath of the Oklahoma City bombing that occurred on April 19, 1995. The bombing, which was carried out by Timothy McVeigh and Terry Nichols, killed 168 people and injured over 600 others. The photograph shows the damage caused to the Alfred P. Murrah Federal Building, which was the target of the attack. The first live global satellite television broadcast, 1967. This photograph captures the historic moment of the first live global satellite television broadcast that took place on July 23, 1967. The broadcast was made possible by the launch of the satellite, Intelsat-I, which allowed television signals to be transmitted across the Atlantic Ocean. This photograph shows the aftermath of the Chernobyl nuclear disaster that occurred on April 26, 1986. The disaster was caused by a reactor explosion at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant in Ukraine, which released radioactive material into the surrounding area. The photograph shows the abandoned town of Pripyat, which was evacuated following the disaster. This photograph shows the assembly line used to manufacture the Ford Model T, one of the most important and influential cars in history. The use of the assembly line revolutionized the production of automobiles, making them more affordable and accessible to the general public. This photograph captures the excitement and anticipation of the opening of Walt Disney World on October 1, 1971. Located in Orlando, Florida, Walt Disney World is one of the most popular tourist destinations in the world, attracting millions of visitors each year. The photograph shows visitors entering the park on its opening day. This photograph shows the construction of the Berlin Wall, which divided East and West Berlin from 1961 until its fall in 1989. The wall was erected by the East German government in an attempt to prevent the emigration of its citizens to the West. The photograph shows workers laying bricks to build the wall. This photograph highlights the impact of the Great Depression, which was the longest and most severe economic downturn in modern history. The photograph shows people waiting in line for food during a time when many were struggling to make ends meet. This photograph depicts the first female astronaut, Sally Ride, who made history when she became the first American woman in space on June 18, 1983. Ride's mission aboard the Space Shuttle Challenger was a significant milestone for women in the field of space exploration. This photograph captures the civil rights movement in the United States in the historic March on Selma, Alabama, in 1965. The march was led by civil rights leaders, including Martin Luther King Jr., and was a pivotal moment in the fight for voting rights for African Americans. The photograph shows marchers crossing the Edmund Pettus Bridge, where they were met with violence by state troopers. This photograph captures a piece of internet history, the first photo ever uploaded on the World Wide Web. The photograph was uploaded by Tim Berners-Lee, the inventor of the World Wide Web, and depicts a group of musicians from a comedy band called Les Horribles Cernettes. The photograph was uploaded on July 18, 1992. This photograph depicts the Watergate complex, which was the site of the political scandal that rocked the United States in the early 1970s. The scandal involved the break-in at the Democratic National Committee headquarters in the Watergate complex and subsequent attempts to cover up the crime by the Nixon administration. The scandal led to the resignation of President Richard Nixon in 1974. This photograph captures a powerful moment in the history of World War II. It shows Soviet soldiers raising the red flag or the Reichstag in Berlin in May 1945, following the defeat of Nazi Germany. The photograph became an iconic symbol of the victory of the Soviet Union in the war. This photograph captures the integration of Central High School in Little Rock, Arkansas, in 1957. The integration was a major event in the civil rights movement, as it was met with violent opposition from those who opposed racial integration. The photograph shows African American students being escorted by the National Guard to attend school. This photograph captures that historic moment of the first jet engine flight, which took place on August 27, 1939. The flight was made by the British test pilot, Frank Whittle, who had invented the jet engine. The photograph shows the experimental jet aircraft getting ready for taking off for its maiden flight. This photograph depicts the signing of the Camp David Accords, which were signed by Egyptian President Anwar Sadat and Israeli Prime Minister Menachem, began on September 17, 1978. The Accords were a significant step towards peace between Egypt and Israel, as they laid the foundation for a peace treaty that was signed the following year. The photograph shows Sadat, Begin, and U.S. President Jimmy Carter at Camp David during the negotiations. This photograph captures the historic moment of the first human spaceflight, which was made by Soviet cosmonaut Yuri Gagarin on April 12, 1961. The flight was a major achievement for the Soviet Union in the space race with the United States. The photograph shows Gagarin in his spacecraft, the Vostok 1, before the launch. This photograph depicts the Scopes trial, also known as the Monkey Trial, which took place in Dayton, Tennessee in 1925. The trial was a legal battle over the teaching of evolution in public schools, with science teacher John T. Scopes charged with violating state law. The trial was widely covered by the media and was a major event in the history of science education in the United States. This photograph captures a historic moment in mountaineering. It shows Italian climbers Lionel Stelli and Achille Compagnoni at the summit of K2 on July 31, 1954. K2 is known for its challenging conditions and is considered one of the most difficult mountains to climb. This photograph captures the launch of Sputnik 1, the first artificial satellite, which was launched by the Soviet Union on October 4, 1957. The launch of Sputnik was a major event in the space race between the Soviet Union and the United States, as it marked the first time that humans had put an object into orbit around the Earth. This photograph depicts Tim Berners-Lee, the inventor of the World Wide Web, who created the first web browser in 1989. The World Wide Web revolutionized the way we access and share information and has become an integral part of our daily lives.